What's the best trade? What's the worst trade? Should you get into the trades? We're at that kind of point. I mean, just as far as the time of the year, a lot of people were coming up springtime. People are seeing the end of high school and they're thinking, hey, maybe I'm going to go in the trades. What should I do? Or a lot of people are just in their lives, again, springtime, and they're thinking like summer, rebirth, I need to make a change with my life. I need to do something different. I've got my degree from college and it's worthless, as a lot of people found out, unfortunately. And I'm not judging. I went to college. I didn't finish. I dropped out because I realized that what I was going to college for just wasn't something that was going to pay the bills. And so let's talk about what the trades are the good trades, what trades are the bad trades. And then I'm going to add in a special little bonus here at the end. So first of all, in no particular order, let's talk about what are the hottest trades and the best paying trades that you could get into this year. And the first one I want to talk about is industrial mechanics. Now, what an industrial mechanic is, that's somebody who works in a shop or a big business, and they go around and they fix the machines that make that business run. All right. And this is a really diverse kind of trade. It's not like you just do this one thing and that's all you're going to do. There's a lot of different jobs in this industry, but it is one of the most sought after needed jobs because there's a lot of businesses out there that rely on big, heavy machines, and they need the people to fix them to keep them going because every hour that thing's down, they're losing money. The second one after this that I'm going to talk about is welders. Welders have always been an in need kind of position. Now, whether it's just basic welding, automotive welding, commercial, pipeline, underwater, basket weaving welding, it is. And trust me, I knew a guy who did underwater welding. And he just made money hand over fist. It's not the safest job out there, but it is a job that gets a lot of respect. It's a real skilled kind of craft, and there's just so much need for it that basically, if you can get all your certifications, get some experience, you can pick and choose the jobs that you want. All right. The next one I want to talk about, CNC operators. There's always a need, it seems to be, for a CNC operator, understanding the code and understanding how the machine operates. It's a real skill. I would say this. I'm surprised they don't make more. They make decent money. Don't get me wrong. They make decent money. But for the kind of stuff that a CNC operator can craft, I would expect it to be far more than they're really making. Now, if you want to make money right out of the box, it's a weird one. Elevator install and repair. It's a hard trade to get into, and it's different region by region as to, like, some places I've seen it's like union only, and if you're not in with the union, you're not getting a job. And some other places it's like, anybody who's got certifications, they can go for it. But once you get in, and I would say, like, there's not a lot of jobs that I would say are truly, recession proof kind of thing. Like, if the economy goes bad, even like, electricians and stuff like that. There's just people who they'll just put off the work, stuff like that. Elevators, they have to be maintained. Finish carpenter. Now, this is one that gets a lot of good respect for what they do. They get to do some real fine craftsmanship. A lot of times they're working for themselves. They do their own little startup businesses and stuff like that. But that said, this is definitely one that is not recession proof, because the first thing that happens in a recession is discretionary income is the kind of thing that goes away. And a lot of times that's finished carpenters. Now, if you're doing really high-end work, the good news is if you're working for rich people always have money. Now, that said, also, the nice thing is you're usually working in a nice indoors area, climate controlled. You have to watch your dust. And you have to clean up after yourself and everything like that. But you're not like a regular carpenter who's working outside in the rain and the sun and everything else. Trust me, when I started, that's what I did. I was building houses. And it is not work that I would recommend. In fact, we're gonna get to a list of 5 or so of the trades I wouldn't recommend. I would say with carpenter, it's so bad, I would say avoid, but it's not one of the ones I'd say, hey, you need to go after being a carpenter. Solar installer, it's hot work. You're up on that roof, and you're hauling metal and panels and everything else, but it's a lot simpler than some of the other trades. I mean, as far as, don't get me wrong, there's still some complexity and stuff. There's still a challenge. You're setting up systems that have already been in place, like they already know how to do this kind of stuff, and you're just bolting them in, as it were. And and of course you got to route the wire and everything else, and you got to do a good job. But I'm saying in comparison to some of the other, like being an electrician or something like that. Now here's another one. I got a friend of mine who does this. Tow truck drivers, tow truck operators. A lot of people don't think of this as the trades, but and if you're just running a basic tow truck, it's an okay job, and you got to deal with some angry people a lot of times, and there are people in bad situations, or you're towing people from parking spaces and stuff like that. And that may not be the best, emotional kind of space and feedback and stuff you're going to be around. But heavy equipment tow truck operators, the guys that I know, they're dealing with semis. We had one job they did. They were pulling a plane out of a ditch. It overshot the local runway and slid down a huge ditch, and they had to figure out how to hook this thing up and pull it out with the least amount of damage at all. And they make really good money. They work terrible hours. They have to work in horrible conditions, but they're always the ones rescuing people. And people are pretty much always grateful for them when they show up. HVAC is a huge one. There's lots of changes going on with the heating and cooling industry, and there's a lot of specialty stuff. I mean, like I know a guy who does nothing but install mini splits, and he doesn't get hours of sleep. He's just always running here, he's running there, and he doesn't have time to spend the money he's making. He's so busy. I know another guy who specializes in nothing more than doing AC units on RVs, and he works down in the Southwest. And in the Southwest, air conditioning isn't a creature comfort; it's life support. So especially for the people who are longtime RVers, they live in their RVs, they got to have that AC working, and they can't be without it for a day, much less, weeks at a time. So they'll pay whatever it takes, and he comes down, does the installs and everything else, and he makes a good amount of money. Again, saves the day. People are not happy to call him, but really happy when he shows up. And then I think probably the best of the best is electrician. I live in a small town here in Montana, and I've known a lot of electricians over my life, and I worked with some. Other than the fact, let's put it this way. Just think about a job where you never have to clean up after yourself, apparently. What a great job, right? I may kid, but I'll tell you what. I know a lot of guys who are really quiet, unassuming millionaires who've got a ton of money, ton of investments, own a bunch of property, and I would say half of them are electricians. It's that kind of job where if you're smart, and if you're not smart, don't worry, you won't be an electrician for very long. God will take care of that. But if you are smart and you invest in yourself and you invest in your own business, and most of these guys I know, they do run their own companies, and they're not huge companies. They don't have 100 employees or anything like that. But I'm talking about not just going around and wiring light bulbs. These guys go and install commercial generators. They rewire fences for ranches and stuff like that. There's always something. Like a guy I know just installed the wiring for a new lift for a local mechanic, and there's all sorts of jobs out there. Now the trades I would avoid. Okay, number one trade to avoid. Anyone want to guess? Roofer. I'm sorry, but every chemically dependent person I know in the trades is or has been at some time a roofer. It is. I don't know why it attracts that sort. And there's always the exception. There's always great guys. He's got a college degree. He's got a master's. Decided to become a roofer. Whatever. And I'm stereotyping because it's a generalization, but it's a horrible job. You're dealing with all sorts of terrible stuff. They're the guys who go out and install like sheet metal tin roofs and stuff. And, they come in, they bang it out, they're real pros. I get that. But I'm talking about the guys who are going up there and laying tar on roofs and tearing up old roofs. And it's just, and how many times have you seen the news article where somebody tore the roof off the wrong house? Yeah, roofers. All right. And then speaking of hot tar and stuff like that, asphalt pavers. What a terrible job that is. That is the smell, the chemicals, the heat. Everyone thinks you're scamming them. That is just one to avoid. If somebody you got a cousin's, brother's, sister's dog offers you a job laying asphalt, just say I'm sick that day or I died and I can't come into work. Just pass. Hard pass on that one. Painters. Painters are another one that is, and I've worked with a couple of paint crews as some pickup work here and there, and I knew some folks who did it, and it's smelly work. You're constantly covered in paint. It's another one where people are always thinking you're cheating them on the price or the quality of the paint, or you're skimping on this. People, for some reason, they just never trust painters. I don't know why. And then I would say they're not as bad as roofers as far as chemical dependency, but they're not far behind on average. And then plumbers. I'm just going to say it. It's a shit job. I had to do it, guys. It is. I know a bunch of plumbers, and none of them are happy. They make good money. You can make really good money. And talk about a job that is recession proof. When that thing backs up, people got to go fix it, or pipes, or there's always an emergency, it seems, and whether they're running gas lines or water lines or sewer lines or whatever. There's always some sort of emergency going on. The work needs to be done immediately. And people, I don't know what it is. It's a job where, as I said, everyone I know who's ever been a plumber has just never been a happy person. They make a ton of money. They can provide for their family, their extended family. They can go on vacation. Even when on their vacation, they're not a happy person. Maybe you know some plumbers who are just happy, jolly folks, but every plumber I met has just been a cranky old dude. And the last one of the ones I'm going to say to avoid is truck drivers, specifically over-the-road truck drivers. Now, some people might not call this a trade or anything like that, but I'm telling you, that's a skilled job. All right, operating those big vehicles on the road, especially when I see them up here in the winters in Montana, I just can't believe. They'll blow by me on the interstate. There'll be 3 inches of snow. They're still doing 80 because they got someplace to be. And I get it. It's a skilled job, but it takes a special sort of person who can put up with that lifestyle. And it's hard on you personally. It's hard on family. It's hard on everyone around you. And it's a job that's going to be going away. They're working on automation for robot, trucks and stuff like that. Whether they're electrical or diesel, they can automate any of them. As soon as they get that going, the job numbers are just going to crash. So I wouldn't bank on it. And if that's what you do, then more power to you. I know we get a lot of viewers here who are truck drivers. All right. And I'll be honest, I started off in the trades as a carpenter, working on rehabbing houses. We'd take old historic houses, tear them down to no less than 30%, because if you went past that, you'd have to pull all these basically it was considered new construction. You needed a whole bunch of different, paperwork and such. And we did wore a lot of different hats, did a lot of different jobs in there. And you felt good with the work you did, especially once you finished a house. You could sit there and go, look, I did that, I built that, people are going to live there, people are going to have families and kids and stuff, and you feel good about it. But man, it's hard work, it's hard on your body, and it's just something that, I'm not going to say it's terrible, but it's not something I would want my kids doing. How about that? Another one, my kids, like my oldest son wanted to become a mechanic, and I pulled him aside and I said, it's not a terrible job and you can make good money, but it's a really hard job. You don't get a lot of love for doing the job. Again, people are always thinking that mechanics are ripping them off. Shop owners always seem to be trying to screw them over. You got the whole flat rate system going on, which is great once you're a seasoned mechanic. You got years under your belt, and now you know all the tips and tricks and how to shorten every job. But when you're getting started, that just, man, you're just paying, you're just trading your soul for dollars at that point. And then, let's get to the bonus part, which is the ones I think that if somebody asked me, like, hey, I want to work for myself, I want to start my own business, what would I get into? And the two I'm going to say is, first of all, the one we mentioned earlier, which is welders, because you can get a small welding machine, get yourself a pickup truck or an SUV, better an SUV or a van, something you lock up so people can't steal the stuff out of the back. Get yourself a small little, generator, some extension cords, maybe a power bank kind of thing, and a decent multi-purpose welder. And you can go out and you can do a ton of little jobs, odd jobs here and there. And you can use that money to level up and work up to the next level, to the next level, the next level. Train yourself, go and get certified. There's lots of stuff you can do. But there's tons of small work out there for welders. People who own apartment buildings always seem to be needing some welding work done. People who own businesses always need to have some small welding. There's some bracket over here or a handrail or some stairs or something that needs to get welded and fixed. And it's not a big job and they don't want to pay a ton for it. And that's where you as the small guy can go in, running your own small business and really make a name for yourself. All right, and the next one is not something I would exactly call a trade, but it kind of falls in that category, and that is pressure washing. It's a huge business, and I think that it's still a great one to get in. Whether you're cleaning roofs, you're cleaning trash cans, you're cleaning sidewalks and patios and whatnot, redoing fences, the whole 9 yards. It's another great job that you can get into and start as a small business, working for yourself. And you can learn most of the skills you need just by watching YouTube videos. Anyway, if you've got some other trades you think that I skipped that I should have added in there, some small businesses that people could start themselves, put it down in the comments. I want to have a conversation with you about it. If you like what we do here, go ahead and chomp the old like button, smash that subscribe, ring the bell on the way out. You all take care. God bless. And as always, shine on.